Good morning, everybody. I'm Trevor Lauer. I'm the president of the electric company here at DTE. And as you all know, we're in the midst of an historic ice storm, one that we have not seen in Michigan for over 50 years. We had a combination of freezing rain and cold temperatures that came through the state yesterday and wreaked havoc from Lake Michigan to Lake Erie. As you can see on the map behind me, it shows the power outages that happened across the state of Michigan. A quarter inch of ice on an electrical system is equivalent to a baby grand piano hanging on those wires. And it's something anywhere in the country where you have an ice storm causes just catastrophic events. And that happened to us here in Michigan yesterday. So we're working through it. And what we really wanted to get together today and talk about is public safety. The other impact of having an ice storm is it brings down a lot of wires. And when wires come down, some of those will be electrical wires, some will be telecommunication wires, but we need to make sure we respond to all of those and keep the public safe. We're estimating right now that we have approximately 3,200 wires down on the ground. So we're working our way through getting crews to all of those wire downs right now. The number one concern for DTE, and I'll speak for CMS and Consumers Energy also, is making sure that all of the public and the first responders stay safe. If you have an outage or if you're in one of the zones on the map that you see behind us, our request today is please stay inside. At about 4 o'clock today, the ice is going to start melting, and people are going to want to go outside and start to clean up the debris and other things that they see. And oftentimes a wire can be in a tree, it can be mixed in with debris, it can look like something else that you may see. The most important thing we can ask everybody to do is to stay inside and to stay safe while the utility crews, the fire departments, the police departments respond to it. If you see a wire down or you think you see a wire down, call DTE, call Consumers Energy, call your local fire department. We'll respond and get crews out there and mark it and make it safe. That's the number one thing we can ask of everybody today. We always tell people if you think you see a wire down, stay at least a bus length, a school bus away from a wire down. Wires can be on top of other fences. That'll electrify the fence. So it's an extremely dangerous condition right now that we have. And the most important thing is making sure that the public understands that. Joining me today is First Lieutenant Mike Shaw from the Michigan State Police. Mike, I thank you for coming, and I'll turn it over to him, and then we'll take Q&A. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, good morning. So we'll talk a little bit about the path, work our way up to where we're at today. During the ice storm, we had 55 crashes, Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County, which, believe it or not, is about average for us, 55 crashes in that area. None of them, fortunately, were serious. Unfortunately, all of them were caused by some type of bad driving behavior. Anybody that's seen me speak on social media or anybody else, I'm going to tell you the same three things that always affect our travel out there, and that's excessive speed, following too closely, and not paying attention. You add a little bit of ice and snow to that, boy, that really starts to make it harder. So we're going to look at that again tonight as we move up to the future. I want to reiterate exactly what Trevor said. We all like our backyards. We all want to keep them all neat. We're all at home right now because a lot of schools are out. There's a lot of people at home. You look outside and that big tree branch is just bothering the heck out of you. And you want to go out there and you want to go out into your backyard and you want to clean that up. I'm going to tell you don't. You know, if somebody gets on you about a messy backyard, you can tell them that Mike Shaw said, I don't have to clean it up today. Because the biggest concern that we'll have now going into the future is people actually losing their lives to touching a down power line. They look like sticks. They can hide anywhere. They could be touching a branch. They could be touching a car, anything metal in a puddle. And all you need to do is just get close enough to that wire that we all assume are live, and it's going to electrify you. And the chance of surviving that contact is pretty much zero. So today, that's our biggest thing is we're going through this recovery process is let it go. Let the utility companies go out there. Let the fire departments go out there, do their thing, get that stuff cleaned up. Now let's talk about the future. As we're looking at the weather today, we're going to see a lot of melting. That's also going to make everything wet. And when the temperature drops tonight, everything wet is going to go back to ice. So now we're talking again about down power lines, tree branches falling. Driving too fast on icy roads will put you in the ditch. So we're asking everybody just to remain calm. If you get to stay home today, unlike myself or Trevor, outstanding. Enjoy the day. Do whatever it is inside your house. Let us get that stuff cleaned up outside. And I'll turn it back up to you, Tara.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. That was excellent. So happy to take any questions as we get into this today, and I know we'll have additional briefings.
Can you talk about the plan of attack to get to all of these different neighborhoods where there are power outages today?
Yeah, so the question is the dispatch priority to the plan of attack on outages. So today at DTE, we have approximately 485,000 customers without power. Our number one priority today is to cover wire downs. So we have approximately 3,200 people out in the field working today. We will be restoring customers. I would expect that we'll restore 100,000 or slightly more than 100,000 customers. And my expectation is by Sunday, we'll have 95% of the customers back in power. Ice causes significant damage. So when you have an ice storm and it brings down large trees and large branches, it'll break utility poles and bring down wires. So the damage will take longer than normal to restore, and we will work through that. We'll work on hospitals, medical systems. If you have a parent, if you have a brother or a sister or a neighbor that's on oxygen or life critical, please contact the fire department, contact the police department, contact DTE or your local utility, and we'll do everything we can to get you into a location where you can be safe. But this is going to take a while to restore all of the customers.
Trevor, do you expect the number to grow from 485,000 outages, being that we are in a historic situation to Lieutenant Shaw's point, this water can thaw, to refreeze, and that can cause other down power lines or other issues? Do you expect that number?
Yeah, I don't know if I should repeat every question, but I will. And the question is, do we expect the number of outages to grow? Look, here's the thing that we're dealing with right now is the ice is still frozen on everything, including our wires. We're expecting between 30 and 45 mile an hour winds to start about 3 o'clock today. So right now what we really need is everything to melt before the winds start. If everything is still frozen when the winds start, these outage numbers across the state are going to climb, and they could climb in a pretty significant way because the ice is still sitting on everything. Right now, we're over the 32-degree temperature, so things are starting to melt, but we need that melting to continue. So it's a great question. Inevitably, we do get additional outages once the main outage event is over, but we have a different risk today than we would normally have due to the ice staying on all of the infrastructure. So the best way I can say it is we're watching the temperature and we're watching the correlation between wind and temperature right now to understand that.
Trevor, where do you stand on out-of-state mutual aid? How many crews have come from out of state, and how many more do you anticipate coming to this year?
Yeah, we have approximately 1,000 people on the ground today from out of state helping us with restoration in addition to the DTE crews. And then we'll have an additional 250 crews that should ride in here by the end of tomorrow. Because this is a fairly localized event, the ice hit Michigan and it hit the area where you can see. Snow doesn't affect a utility system, so the majority of the utilities around us will give us additional resources. But utilities need to plan out a plan of attack on how you restore everybody so that you can put the other resources to work. So we're working through all of that today. We're going to bring in as many resources as we can, but there's only a certain number that you can bring in and then keep the resources safe also that are working on the electrical system. Thank you.
Trevor, last night there were some emergency first responder crews that made it to scenes where there were power outages or down lines, and they were waiting for DTE crews to come. Can you talk about the logistics and why it takes so long for crews to get to some of these spots, especially when we're talking about such a vast scope?
Yeah. So the question is, how do you relieve first responders when they show at a wire down? So think about the ice storm last night. Approximately 5 o'clock, the ice started to load. And between 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock, we had approximately 2,000 wires come down. Our crews are heroic. They do an unbelievable job. but I can't dispatch 2,000 people to 2,000 different locations. We depend on the local fire departments and the local police departments and the state police to help us immensely as we get through that. Our job then is to relieve them as quickly as we can, but when you show up at a site, you have to make that site safe. It's not just showing up and putting caution tape. It's understanding, is it an electrical wire, is it a phone wire, is it a cable wire? We have certain conditions where you can tape around a wire and you can leave. There's other ones where you have to stay at the wire and you're not allowed to leave the wire, depending on where it's located. If it's hot, is it located next to a school? So we relieve everybody as fast as we can, but we also depend very heavily on local resources because of the magnitude of how fast the wires come down.
I can piggyback on that one too for you a little bit too. And I think what people really need to understand is that those same weather conditions that affect you as you're going to work, as you're driving down the roads, affect us too, right? So it may not be that, DTE doesn't have enough crews or we don't have enough resources out there. It's just taking us a heck of a long time to get there because I want my people to be safe too, right? We can't help anybody if we're in the ditch. So a lot of times that goes there. So part of our role during these type of events is we know is public safety. And that's making sure those wires are secure, not only for our own folks, but for, people that are driving through there. So as DTE's working their way through that process, we know that we're going to be there. We're going to use the crime tape that we always do and make sure that that area is secure. Because, again, if you're somebody that's walking in that neighborhood, walking the dog or doing whatever you're doing, and we kind of, we can't wait for DTE any longer, somebody touching that wire, that is not what I want to be standing in front of this podium talking about. So, we have resources out there to help doing that. Now, I am not climbing a pole. I'm not hanging any wires, but we'll stand out there until somebody that actually gets paid to do that and is trained to do that to put those wires up there.
Can you guys also talk about safety concerns with people heating their homes, stoves,
Yep.
generator use, things like that?
So as we go through this process, as we get to the after effects where people lose power and stuff, so that's the first thing we really want to talk about. Generators can be a lifesaver and it can be a life taker. They have two roles, right? They're great to have. They get everything in your refrigerator going on, but you can't bring it in your house. You can't put it by an open window. You want to keep that at least 25 to 50 yards away from your home to make sure that that carbon monoxide doesn't drift into your home. The same thing with gas stoves. There's a lot of warming centers that are open out there. If you contact your local government, they can tell you where they are. The Red Cross, you can call 211. There's a lot of things out there that can help you during this process other than trying to heat your house with a hot stove. That's just, it's not a good idea. It's very dangerous and, it's not worth the risk.
I'm going to miss this while the two of you were talking. It could be a question for either you, Finisher, or for you, Trevor. Do you know of any fatalities or injuries from downlines at this moment in time?
Yeah, so the first question I want to go back to is carbon monoxide poisoning. It's odorless and you don't know what's happening. So Mike said it really well. Do not put a generator inside your home. I can't emphasize it enough because we see fatalities across the country when this happens. I am aware that there was a fatality on the west side of the state last night. I do not have the actual details associated with it, but it was a first responder that came in contact with a live wire. So this is something that it happens. Electricity at the voltages that we distributed is unforgiving. You do not get away from it. It's not like in your home. So stay inside. We will come. Give us a day. We will make things secure, but please stay inside.
Trevor, can you talk about what the winds that we're going to get in about 4 hours, what specifically, how that will affect your crews?
Yeah, so there's really two things with the winds that'll come. The first is the winds will affect us because the ice loading is still on the infrastructure. So getting the ice to melt before the winds get here, I can't control the winds and I can't control the temperature, but we need the ice to melt before the winds get here. Our crews can work in heavy winds. Once the winds get over 40 miles an hour, our crews are no longer able to go up in buckets and work in elevated conditions. Luckily, the winds will die down again tonight. It's going to get pretty cold this weekend, so making a big dent in this restoration today, tomorrow, going into Saturday is going to be very important because we do see cold weather coming back into Michigan this weekend.
At what point last night the reporting of outages went down, that infrastructure? Can you explain what caused it, and was it consistent?
Yeah, we just had a minor IT issue last night that took down, we call them our channels or our communication channels for our customers to communicate with us. We got them back up pretty quickly, and then we had another effect that sent them back down, but at midnight last night they came back up. Apologize for any inconvenience that it caused any of our customers. Hey, look, maybe I'll end on this. You know, on behalf of DTE, and I'll say it for all the utilities in the state right now, apologize to all of our customers for the historic nature of this ice storm and what they're going to go through. But I do want you to know that we have an army out here. We are going to restore your power. We are going to get to every single customer and get everybody back as fast as we can. We'll do more briefings. But if you take nothing else away from what the First Lieutenant and I talked about today, safety is the #1 priority for our entire state today. From Michigan to Lake Erie, we have wires down. Some of those are going to be live, and you need to treat every wire like it is a live wire. Stay away from it. Stay inside. Enjoy your family. Pull out Monopoly. I don't know how you want to spend the time, but do not go outside right now. Give your utilities and your first responders time to do the right thing and get the area safe for everybody right now. Thank you.
Can you talk about the line workers and the jobs they're doing and the conditions?
Sure. So, you know, our line workers, our overhead and underground line workers, we have what we call electric field operations. We have planners. I can't say enough for the work that our crews do. They're out in some very difficult conditions. They're out in icy conditions. They worked through the night last night. They respond to some very difficult conditions. I have the deepest respect for them. We ask them in conditions like this to work 16 hours a day, sometimes for 5 or 6 days straight. They sacrifice a lot to do it. They get great training, and we have the appropriate PPE, so they know how to keep themselves safe, but they're trained to do that. So deepest respect for all of our line workers and the work that they're going to do to help all of us over the next couple days. Yeah, so my expectation for DTE, knowing all the information we have right now, is that by the end of the day on Sunday, we'll have 95% of our customers restored. There will be customers that do not have power still on Monday. Our goal will be to have all the schools restored on Monday so that the kids can go back to school on Monday. So if your school's out today, most likely it'll be out tomorrow. But we will plan on having all the schools back so that they can be back for school on Monday. 95% restored by the end of the day on Sunday.
And that's hoping that everything goes today and moving forward.
With everything we know today, right? But our crews are amazing. We've got a good system here. We're going to work really hard to get everything back as fast as we can. Mike, thank you. Very much appreciate you joining me. Thank you, everyone.